Cool, cool. Petra stepping up to save the Emilia camp from I don't know what. That's sort of the problem that comes from these shorts, the ReZero break time shorts, is that either they're funny little bits that just is a quick comical beat, or there's actually story significant stuff that's giving you an idea of what's happening in the background. And I think that's been kind of the case for several episodes now of the break time, as we get a lot of insights into, Otto and how he's working with Ram and how they're essentially managing the camp itself because Roswaal screwed up pretty bad in season 2. Roswaal screwed up pretty bad. And it does look like this is kind of an extension of that. Because yes, we have Petra. She just came back from finding Diaz, I'm guessing, and she's dragging Diaz along, going along this hallway until she overhears this meeting that Roswaal's having. Now the question mark is what is this meeting? My assumption is this meeting is essentially getting backers in the region or whatever to back the Emilia camp, which it does seem like they have agreed to it in the past, and now Roswaal is trying to ask them again. But due to the fact that, again, he kind of messed up, it does seem like it's bringing up question, at least in his head, if people should follow the Emilia camp. He's essentially allowing them to choose for themselves, which I think is pretty cool. But yes, the episode itself opens up with, Petra, and she's walking with Diaz, dragging her along. She's like, don't mess with my hands. They're for making cuisine. And eventually she comes to the door where the meeting's happening, and she overhears a conversation. Now, the conversation starts out with essentially everybody's going, hey, Roswaal, you're in the position to just tell us to back Emilia. Why are you even questioning this? But specifically, one of them brings up something I thought was very, very interesting, and I'm curious if, and this might be a thing that I'll have to find out when I eventually get to reading the actual novel series. One important little tidbit here is one of them says, he say to support her. I've already heard that. You said to support. That's fine. Say it. But being the fact that it's a half-elf we're talking about, he may just be thinking about backstabbing in the future. Kind of indicating to me that, if this translation is correct that I got, that essentially Roswaal could be supporting Emilia just for the sake of backstabbing the half-elves. That sort of makes me feel like Roswaal doesn't like the half-elves. And it does seem like a lot of people that are in that room are beast folk and whatnot. They're not humans. Some of them look like humans, but some of them have animal ears and whatnot. It makes me believe that this isn't a group of people that are all humans. These are people that are, demi-humans, they're beasts and whatnot. And so it does make me kind of wonder, do they feel like Roswaal is not somebody that would essentially like people that are not humans and whatnot? That's a question mark there. That's a massive question mark there. And I think that's kind of important to Emilia's story because, yes, a lot of people don't like half-elves. Again, this is a type that looks like the Witch of Envy. So they don't really like them. They have that prejudice against half-elves. And so you would assume somebody like Roswaal, who is backing Emilia in this whole candidacy, would actually be supporting her, even though she is a half-elf. But right here, again, it's giving that little indication of yeah, you're probably backing her so you can backstab them. You can do some backstabbing. Which, yes, we have found out that Roswaal has done backstabbing, but he never indicated it had anything to do with her blood. It had nothing to do with the fact that she was a half-elf. He had his own intentions, his own things that he wanted to do. But anyways, that aside, they're bringing up that question mark, and yes, Petra walks in there, brings Diaz in with him, and then yes, Roswaal at this point wants to gain their trust. Again, I like this, but at the same time, I have that Otto question mark there. Otto has essentially put that little seed of distrust in me, and the idea that even though he now has a seal on him that prevents him from turning on them now, he could still do bad things. And he might be purposely right here not wanting to ask them to support because he doesn't support them still. There's still something in his head that wants to turn against this group. And so right here, he doesn't want to say anything, but it could be that, yes, he is changing his ways and he's going, you know what? The past me, yes, would order you all to support Emilia, but I'm not that person no more. Instead, I'm going to have somebody else be a substitute. And he calls out to Petra. Petra, you're up. I almost thought he was going to say, Petra, you're now the leader of the camp or something like that. Little Petra is now going to lead the entire camp. But no, he just says, Petra, tell them why you think we should support Emilia. Tell them why Emilia is so great. Because you can do it. You know how great she is. You love Emilia. And so, yeah, I totally just slipped that out. I love Emilia. And of course, Federica doesn't like it. Federica's like, this is a sick joke. Why would you do this? He's like, I wish you wouldn't call it a sick joke. But he says, I can't gain their trust. You just heard it. I can't gain their trust. And yes, that's a fault of my own conduct. I did something bad. And yes, Frederica's not suitable either because, yes, everybody knows our long-time relationship. You've been my maid for a long time. It does kind of, that wording does kind of make me wonder, is Frederica and him I don't think so. We all know that there's only one person for Roswaal. He's not looking at anybody else. I mean, he manipulated Ram for a long time. And yes, technically, as we see in the last break time, he apparently no longer wants to have her in the changing room with her anymore. But no, jokes aside, yes, Petra says, okay, I understand my job. I can do this. And Dia's like, I'm going to make you a colossal meal that would be fitted for a dragon that would love it and all that kind of stuff. And then, yes, Petra turns to Roswaal and says, hey, master, I hate you. He's like, oh dear. I think it was sweet because technically Petra right there is showing everybody in the room. Yeah, unlike Frederica, who everybody knows that she's had a long relationship with Roswaal working for him, I hate this dude. So if you're looking for somebody that's going to want to support Emilia, not because Roswaal said so, I'm the perfect candidate because I hate Roswaal's guts because he turned on my Emilia. But yeah, then it cuts over to her standing before everybody and saying, let me tell you about not a half-elf. Let me tell you about Emilia, not the half-elf. Let me tell you about her, this person that I like so much, as a person, who Emilia is, which I thought was really sweet. So that's pretty much it. Again, very interesting to kind of see how everybody sees Roswaal in his support of Emilia. At the same time, kind of showing that Roswaal is sort of changed, or possibly just does not want to essentially force people to follow Emilia. Make them make that decision. Let them follow her for the sake of following her, and not because he said so. Yeah, I forgot that I didn't actually cover ReZero's Break Time 64, which I really enjoy, but it wasn't really much to talk about, honestly. It's just really Ram not understanding how Roswaal himself has changed, and the idea that now he suddenly is avoiding her, and she doesn't understand why. And so she barges into Otto's office, and he's like, why would you just come in here and say you don't understand? You got to explain what you're talking about. And she's like, you should apologize. But no, like, her whole difficulty here is that, yes, Roswaal has changed. And he's like, well, did anything change between the two of you? And her whole thing was that, well, I don't really think anything has changed. Like, well, have you said anything that might have changed his view on you? Well, I did tell him that I love him. He's like, that's exactly it. He's like, that's exactly what has changed and why he will no longer allow you in the changing room. She's like, I've always been able to do that. I've always been able to go in the changing room with him before he goes to the bath. Suddenly he doesn't want me in there. It's because you literally said you love him. But it was so sweet because it gets in, honestly, the deeper aspect here is that it gets into how Ram herself doesn't understand love. She doesn't understand how people think. And so it's completely foreign to her that just saying I love you, because she's like, he should know that I love him. I've always loved him. He knows that. Again, we've seen so many scenes where she's literally sitting on his lap, very, very much so cuddling into him, and he's feeding her mana and stuff like that. I'm assuming it's feeding her mana or taking it away. I think it was feeding her mana. He knows that. But it's the fact that she now vocalized it. And I like the fact that, like, right here, my boy Otto, being the best bro here, he's just literally like, she asks, was it wrong that I said that? Did I mess something up by saying that? Should I not have said that? And he's like, no. That's perfectly fine. It's fine for you to say something like that. Vocalizing it's completely different than showing it, and you vocalize it. It's a good thing. Kind of just telling her that it's okay. You did something okay there, but yes, it does sort of change things for you, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing that you've expressed that. It was a sweet little segment. Again, very much so showing at least how Roswaal and Ram's relationship has kind of shifted over the time, which is again kind of important because we kind of left their relationship on Ram, pushing so hard to break this curse that Roswaal's in, burning that book, ripping it away from him and taking him down, stopping him from going down this path of destruction. So it's good to see that. It seems like Roswaal, either he might just be separating himself, maybe he's putting space between him and Ram, or maybe he's now accepting it. Maybe he does see Ram differently, which is, honestly, for my girl Ram, I want her to be happy, is a good thing. So anyways, that's it for ReZero Break Time 65 and technically 64 as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below, comment. Let me know what you think of these two break times. Again, on my X account, x.com/otakuspirited, I post every single week on the day of release of break times a rough subtitle translation applied to the video itself so you can watch the episode each week. Just know that I try to confirm most of the subtitling, but sometimes it can be slightly off. Nobody's really complaining about anything, so I'm assuming it's doing very well. So anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like this content and you want to support more, I'll have links to the description below. Greatly appreciate it. But until next time, y'all take care.